So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Les French Wine Day to speak about sparkling wines. Remember that you can view all the products present in the selection and also the top 10 on our web platform, testefrance-wineandspirit.com. The session will hosted by Paul Truszkowski. Thank you, Paul, for joining us today. The session will be recorded and you can ask your questions in writing in the chat. Enjoy your session. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to welcome you today to our sparkling tasting, and it's personally a pleasure for me to have this topic. As you may know, the sparkling wine world of France is very, very diverse, and so we tried to have you have a small impression of this very diverse sparkling world of France. So just to give you an overview, I have champagnes, and then we have some crémant, some specials also to the end of the tasting. So please let us start with the first wine. The wine is from the house Champagne Alfred Triton, Cuvée Mes Racines. I hope you have it all next to you, so you can pour yourself a nice glass. I think we're gonna see in a second a small slide. Yes. And maybe next slide. Perfect. Thank you very much. So this is one back, please. Just one step back, please. Perfect. That's our first wine. It's a tiny domain, 3 hectares in Bouzy, in the Montagne de Reims, and we have Mathilde here, who will speak in English, and next to her is the wine grower. Mathilde, may you introduce yourself and your domain briefly?
Yes, thank you, Paul. Hello, everybody. So I'm Mathilde, and I'm in charge of the commercial part of our Champagne Alfred Triton. And here is just next to me Jean-Luc, the winemaker, and he's my husband. And Alfred Triton is the brand which comes from his family. Alfred Triton was his grandfather, and he founded a house in 1930 when he started to produce bottles and not only grapes. And right from the beginning, he was independent, récoltant, manipulant. So his daughters continued like him, and Jean-Luc as well. So we only produce champagne from our grapes. And we are based in Bouzy, as you said, and also in Ambonnet, next village. So both villages are on the south slope of the Montagne de Reims. And they are both Grand Cru villages, so we only produce Grand Cru grapes and thus Grand Cru champagne. And we grow about 2/3 Pinot Noir, 1/3 Chardonnay, and the average year of the average age is 40 years. Producing a bit less than 3 hectares mean we produce roughly 25,000 bottles a year. And I would talk of handcraft work because my husband is always on demand of quality and optimal maturity, because he goes before the harvest in the vineyard, and he likes testing berries to decide when it's the best time to harvest. He looks for fruitiness and a lot of aromas in his champagnes. And he has the particularity to pick up the grapes with his team. He wants to control the quality, and he tells them, please pick what you would like to eat. And it's really, really important for us to have good grapes, very good grapes, to produce a good champagne. And another particularity of our domain is that we have started 7 or 8 years ago to do organic treatments, little by little and more by more. and so on. In 2018, we've been HVE certified. It's a French certification by the Agricultural Ministry Department. So it means high environmental value. So it means we use as less pesticide as possible, less water, and less fertilizers. And now we are converting to organic agriculture, viticulture, so from more than 1 year now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we have here your Mes Racines Grand Cru cuvée. We have talked about that already. So it's like, let's say, mostly 2017 vintage with 51% reserve wines. Where we have to mention that the reserve wines at Champagne Alfred Tréton are not 1 or 2 vintages, but it's like a let's say Solera method. So the vintages are always evolved and developed with time. The wine stays like 2.5 years on the lease, and it is, as you have mentioned, in terms of the grape varieties, 2/3 Pinot and 1/3 Chardonnay. Yes, that's it for that. I was very surprised in the first blind tasting when we were selecting the wines of the quality, and I think it's for sure a very elegant wine with, let's say, yellow fruits, apples, yellow apple, yellow pears, but it's a very pleasing, very rounded wine that picks up, I think, a lot of different palates, and it's, let's say, very vinous wine, not just an apéro style. So I think this is for that the most important part. If somebody among the listeners want to say something, just turn on your microphone, ask us. You are free to comment if you like. And for now, I think, that's the most important thing. This is like your entry level cuvée, right? It's like your business card for the domain.
Yes, it is, and it is called Mes Racines. It means my roots, because it comes from Jean-Luc's grandfather recipe, so Alfred Tréton's recipe. He liked Chardonnay, and we have the particularity to grow a quite important part of Chardonnay in Bouzy, because in Bouzy there are 88% of Pinot Noir and only 12% of Chardonnay. And we grow 1/3 of Chardonnay because Alfred Tréton liked the blending of quite important part of Chardonnay, mixing with the I would say power and strongness of Pinot Noir. And so we continued to produce in Champagne, and so this name, My Roots, Mes Racines, refers to its origin from Alfred Tréton.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Are there any questions among the listeners, or should we just continue? Okay, I don't see questions, so maybe we continue. Thank you very much, Mathilde and your husband.
You're welcome.
So let's continue with the second wine. It's from Champagne Gratino des Lunis. I guess you have seen the slide. No, it's the next one. Yes, perfect. So here we go from Montagne de Reims with the previous Champagne now to Vallée de Marne, and we are in the town Crotte-sur-Marne. I think Céline is here.
Yes.
I pronounced it well.
Well, it's Gracio de Luni.
Pardon.
It's fine. Good morning, everybody. Then I'm Céline from the Champagne Gracio de Luni. I'm the sales manager and the marketing manager, and I'm with David, who is the wine grower.
Hello.
And the chef de cave.
Hello, I'm David, the producer.
Champagne Gracio de Luni is well, still a small house. It's about 10 acres, and it has been created in 1947 by David's great-grandparents. And then and David is in charge of the vinification and of the vineyards for 20 years now, but he took over the company in 2019, so 3 years ago. It's composed of mainly Chardonnay, Pinot Meunier, which is one of the most one of the vintage the most present in the Marne Valley, typical, and some Pinot Noir. But also, David really tried to create innovative champagnes. We are also récoltant manipulant. David creates all the champagnes we produce. And then the ambition is to innovate, but keeping an eye on an eye of the past. So that's why we reintroduced many cépages like Petit Meslier. And Petit Meslier has been reintroduced in 1995. And we created last year Bulle d'Avenir Champagne, which is 100% Petit Meslier, which has a complete different taste than any other champagnes. And we also have some Pinot Gris that will make a rosé next year. That should be interesting. And we planted last week some Pinot Blanc also. So we really want to take advantage of all the cépages they used in the past and create some different wines full of character and something more typical than the usual champagnes. So, so the wine you will be tasting today is Mathilde, and Mathilde is part of a special series we decided to put in light last year. It's a series of 4 bottles. We have Alfred 2004, Emile 2005, then you get Mathilde in 2008, and Louise 2009. So the 4 of them come from the exactly same vines, and they're Blanc de Blanc. And then it's just to put really in evidence the difference and the importance of the year of the work of the chef de cave, and the vintage, the weather, and everything makes the wine so different. So this series really shows really the difference between the 4 years. Well, I think I'll let you talk about it, Paul, now.
Thank you very much. Great introduction. So we have, as you mentioned, Cuvée Mathilde. It's a Blanc de Blanc, 100% Chardonnay from the vintage 2008. And I think regarding the taste, you all have it in your glass. Give it a nose, give it some air. It definitely deserves it and develops with it. I think regarding your domain, Céline, it's very interesting regarding the story. Like the chef de cave was already there for, let's say, almost 20 years, but his mom was still the boss. But now, since 3 years, he's like, let's say, free to do a little bit more his own things. Obviously, he has done a good job with his mother. So now she trusts him, and I'm very curious to see what you are developing, because I think it's kind of, let's say, a relaunch for the domain, step by step, with realizing more and more of his personal or your personal ideas, and it's definitely a house to watch, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, before was this model like more old style, and now we're trying to modernize things and really put in advance the work of David. I mean, for me as a salesperson, it's really interesting to work with him because he's passionate about what he's doing and is going to diversity and not common like everybody. And this is really interesting for me to work. And then now that he's fully the boss over here, well, we can really go to show his work and decide to go to really what we want and what we want to show the work and make it typical. I mean, give it a more personality.
Mm. Very good. Just maybe 2 words regarding the wines. While the blind tasting to select the wines, I was very surprised by the elegance of the wine. It's very harmonious. It's a very fine wine, not too loud, and also not too matured. Although 2008, I think it's a very nice example how great Blanc de Blanc can age, and it's also a very nice example for you buyers or importers that there are still so many hidden gems to find in the Champagne region for a very reasonable price-value relation. So if there aren't any more questions, I would suggest that we continue with the next wine. Thank you very much, Celine.
You're welcome. Thanks to you.
So the next wine will be Champagne Métayer, 100% Pinot Noir. Perfect.
Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, perfect. Hello.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you very much for being here today. My name is Nadia. I'm very proud to represent Franck Métayer, who can't be here at the moment because he's in the vineyard. I'm Canadian. I've been working for several years for this champagne making family that has been existing since 1860 and located in the Marne Valley. So we are harvester makers, and we are part of the Independent Wine Growers Federation also, which is quite a guarantee of a certain quality. We are in Tréloux-sur-Marne, so actually out of the whole Champagne production region, it is the village that has the most number of plots, meaning that a lot of people are really looking for this particular aromatic richness that is very sought after. And so we're very privileged and lucky to have this clay and limestone soil and subsoil, which brings the aromatic richness that we are seeking for. So we're working with the three main grape varieties of Champagne. We work with Chardonnay, with Pinot Noir, and with Meunier, and we produce 10 different champagnes. So we make assemblage, we make rosé, we make zero dosage, we make extra brut, we make vintage, non-vintage, old vine. So we have quite a wide range, and we are extremely high quality oriented, not volume. We have 14 hectares of vineyards, but we only produce about 45,000 bottles in average per year. And so our vineyards are massively surrounded by biodiversity. We have orchards, we have ponds, we have forests, and we are also we're working in a environmental friendly viticulture, since we are also high environmental value certified. So as I said, we're really try to be as close to as respectful towards nature as possible, but also really quality oriented. So we select the grapes upon harvest, so we take really just the best ones. We only keep tête de cuvée to make our champagne, so the first press. We back to the environmental friendly ways of working. We don't kill the weed. We plow. All the products that we use in the vineyard are organic origin. So we really try to be as friendly to nature as possible. And towards our vinification methods, well, Mr. Métayer works the way his ancestor taught him. So he's really a dinosaur guy. And so we vinify in enamel-coated steel vats, so the ones that his great-grandfather was using, and we block malolactic fermentation in almost a magical manner, because we don't have to bring down the temperature. He does it only with the material that his ancestors were using, blocking malolactic fermentation for all of our cuvées. And even though we block malolactic fermentation, our champagnes are very soft, easy to drink. Very not aggressive at all, as you will see with our Pinot Noir, for example. What else? Well, our champagnes have been awarded in the most prestigious contests and selected by very renowned wine guides. And also, well, thanks to our way of working and the hospitality and the way we treat people and the way we treat our products and the way we treat our vines, we are the first independent wine grower awarded individually by UNESCO in 2017. Madame Métayer, Anna, who's Frank's wife, is also very dedicated to the family winery. She has been ranked chevalier by the Ministry of Agriculture just at the end of last year. So yes, we're very we're a small house, but we're gaining in reputation thanks to the quality of our products. And we also have various other labels. We are Vignoble et Découverte. We also won the lead export trophies in 2019 because our products are really appreciated worldwide also. And our partners really like to work with us because we're quite responsive. We find solutions to everything, and we're very transparent. And the quality price ratio that we propose is extremely interesting. So it allows our partners to work very comfortably. So now I'm gonna, well, I guess I told you pretty much everything about us. I'll let you taste our 100% Pinot Noir, and if you have questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. But if you don't, let me just finish by this. Don't hesitate to come and discover us in person. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. Super. So regarding the wine, we have a 100% Pinot Noir. Some people might think that Pinot Noir 100% champagnes can be a bit, let's say, rough or a little bit bolder. This one is very fine, elegant. As Nadia already mentioned, it's only Tête de Cuvée, top quality. This wine is a 2015. It's not declared on the bottle, but it stays at least for 3 years on the lease, at least. And this wine that we have now is since 2019 on in the market. So yeah, that's regarding this. It's an extra brut. Voilà. Nadia, have I mentioned everything what I have to mention?
I guess so. So yes, that's one of the particularities of our house. If we're not allowed to commercialize a bottle of champagne if it didn't age minimum 15 months. But here, again, for quality, if it's not 3 years of age, even for a non-vintage, it's not getting out of our cellars. So that's a 2015 that was started to be commercialized in 2019. So that is absolutely right. 6 grams per liter for this extra brut.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
So we have some questions. In how many countries do you export already? On which country?
It's I would say around 15 countries. Very various. We export to Taiwan, we export to the United States, we export massively in Europe, in Belgium, in Italy, in Poland, but yes, we export pretty much everywhere. So as some clients we've been are not. It's not every year. We work not on a regular basis with some export partners. But yes, we commercialize. We have a boutique, a strictly métier dedicated boutique in Denmark. Yeah, we have about 10 to 15 countries out of my head.
Okay. And how much is the price of the champagne? It was also a question in the chat.
Well, the public price here at the domain, if you're a client who would like to leave with a bottle of champagne, that bottle starts at 26 euros, VAT included, obviously. Now, when it comes to discussing about resale price, that is something that we will have to discuss together. But the retail price here at the domain, you want a bottle of that, it's 26 euros TTC.
Thank you.
26, oh, 32. I apologize. My bad. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I was, it's 32, mixing up with another vintage. All apologies. That one is 32. Sorry. 32 euros at the domain.
Okay, any more questions?
We have one question about the champagne, but from the producer Champagne Gradio de Luni, Céline. There was a question about the grams of dosage.
2 grams.
2 grams. Okay.
Okay, so I will mention the dosage now always in your minds. You can have it directly.
And
Any
I
more
think
questions?
for the buyers, also the price is interesting and in which country, yeah, the producers already export. So it was also a question in the chat.
It's
Okay.
the question is for us, for Gracia de Luni.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I don't see the chat, sorry. Well, the price of material is X Works here. Well, X seller 26 euros and 80 cents. And we already export, well, this champagne is brand new. So with the COVID, we didn't start it yet, but we already export in, well, a little in Germany, in Denmark, in Hong Kong, and a little bit in Sweden, and also, well, some not professional customers yet in Belgium and Italy. Well, since you understood, David just took over the company 3 years ago, and I started with him 2 years ago. So we really redefine all the domain, and we start again all the commercial parts and defining everything. So, but we got great contacts in UK with business friends also. So we will be really happy to export in more countries. We have all the know-how to do it.
Thank you. And we have one question now for you, Nadia. So there's one buyer which is interested in the X-seller price. I don't know if you saw it in the chat.
Yes, I saw it. Shall I invite him to give me his email address so I can send him my mail eventually?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I hope it's okay for him. Yeah.
Or I can give my email address and he can write directly and I could just reply to his question. That's okay.
Okay. Any more questions?
No, I think it's fine now.
Okay. So please keep the chat in your eyes because I can't see it too. So I will just continue now. Let's continue with the fourth wine. It's the Champagne Veuve Maurice de Pitre. Adeline is with us from the domain.
Hello everyone. Yes. Hello everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So my name is Adeline and I'm the fourth winemaker in our familial winery, the Veuve Maurice Le Pitre estate. Since 1905, we are located in Ris-la-Montagne on a terroir classified as Premier Cru in the designated area of Champagne. My father, Bernard, and me bring our energy and devotion to the house. Our 7 hectares are located around the estate on a specific terroir of Ris-la-Montagne. Thus, the proximity of the plots and the unity of place are a specific feature of our estate, well as the vineyards placed around the chateau in the Bordeaux region. It allows the vines to be looked after with special care. I can say too that we have obtained sustainable viticulture labels, the HVE and the VDC certification, because respect for the fauna and flora is an absolute necessity in our practice. I can tell you that as a family, we press our own grapes with our own wine press. Vinification, bottling, and manual whittling take place on the estate, as well as aging in our natural cellars. And I would like to talk especially about our specific terroir of Ris-la-Montagne, especially our specific climate. First of all, it's important to point out that Ris-la-Montagne is the northernmost village of the Montagne de Reims and is therefore exposed to a cold climate and a humid westerly wind. As a result, our vineyards suffer and grow in adversity, an hostile environment of cold and humidity. The suffering of our vineyards creates the complexity of the vines. And in addition, in the top of our village, is there a forest? Is a forest called La Montagne de Reims, which creates a very special microclimate. This forest helps to soften the harshness of the winter, caused by creating a barrier to the west wine and cooling down the temperature of the summer draft. It allows for optimal conditions for the champagne wine growing. I could speak about the special relief, but it's not the most important for me. I can tell you that we have been using massal selection for years. Why? Because we are convinced that there's nothing better than nature itself to help us to improve the quality of our wines. The massal selection at the origin of the varietal diversity of our vine stock gives our wines the diverse aromas such after for a very good taste. What can I tell you too is that our house likes to privilege a long aging for our cuvée to develop the maximum of aromatic richness. For example, the Brut Héritage, the cuvée I decided to present you, has 8 years of aging. Its 8 years of aging explains the intensity of its evolved aromas, a complex whole for a successful aperitif. So thanks for your listening, and I'm ready for your question if you want.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It is, as mentioned, 100% Chardonnay, good with 7 grams of residual sugar. Very also vinous wine. I think it's your top cuvée, right?
Yes, it's my favorite. And it's the most appreciated. Yes.
Perfect. And just to get it right, it's a 7-hectare domain, so it's tiny, let's say, in a positive way. And the available amount of this wine is around 1,800 bottles.
Yes.
Do we have any questions? No. Okay. If not, let's continue because I have also the time a little bit in my view here. The wine number 5. Thank you very much, Adeline.
Thank you.
And wine number 5 will be presented by Kevin. It's the Champagne Laurent Le Car, Blanc de Meunier, 100%.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So, hello, everybody. Thanks for being with us today. My name is Kevin. I'm the sales manager for Champagne Laurent Le Car. I've been working for Laurent for almost 6 years now. I'm in charge of course, all business activity. Now we export in 4 different continents and almost 20 different countries. Missing some countries in Europe, of course, it's why we are here today. So we are a family estate located in Passy-Grigny, in the earth of the Marne Valley. Passy-Grigny is located in a limestone fault that brings us naturally a natural and intense freshness, especially for our Meunier grapes, because we work 1140 hectares. Almost more than 80% of the production is Meunier. We have also 11% of Chardonnay and 9% of Pinot Noir that we use sometimes for blend vintages or the classic non-vintage champagne. We also produce special Blanc de Blanc and Blanc de Noir, Pinot Noir champagne. All the grapes come from Passy-Grigny, the 2 villages around us. It's very, very terroir, 2 kilometers on the right, 2 kilometers on the left. Since 1988, Laurent worked with the sustainable viticulture, but he decided in couple of years ago to valorize his work with two new certificates, which are HVE and VDC. Some other winemakers explain a little bit. So high environmental value and sustainable viticulture in Champagne. We have almost zero herbicide in the vineyard. We have a vine protection strategy, also biodiversity preservation and development, which is really important for us. We also 1 year ago, we started to work on also the soil and subsoil localization for new future champagnes. I mean that we separated during the harvest meunier, which are on clay, which are on limestone, which are on sand, to get the natural impact of the soil on our meunier, which is very, very famous for us, to elaborate in the future specific champagne or blend with the importance of the soil. Also, so we have exclude different dosages. We have 5 different champagne in 100% meunier. It's really very famous for us. We have a large range, and we can almost find all style of champagne that we can find in Champagne region. I mean that blend, blanc de blanc, blanc de noir, blend rosé, maceration, meunier, champagne. And to quickly to introduce also Blanc Meunier, which is the one of the most important champagne for us. It's 100% Meunier, old vines, more than 50 years old, mainly focused on only focused on Passigrini old vines with a no malolactic, partial malolactic fermentation, 3 years, more than 3 years on lease, and it's a non-dosage champagne. We also work in oak barrel, stainless steel vat, or oak tank to blend, to elaborate many champagnes. We have more than 10 different wines in total. So I think it's a global presentation, and if you have some question, of course, I will be there for that. So yeah, and I can do, I don't know if you can see my screen, I have some mug, and Blanc Meunier is the red label, only made with Meunier grapes.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Welcome.
I think you have said almost everything, so I can't add there that much for now, but maybe just one thing. It's 11.4 hectare, the size of the domain.
Yes.
You ask yourself, and maybe you can just mention, are you already distributed with your wines in the market? Germany, Austria, Netherlands, Belgium?
So Belgium, yes, we have already 2 partners in Belgium. In Germany, we have no one. Also in Austria. In Netherlands, we started a bit to introduce this market. So we are already on the market through a second brand. So it means that we are just a wine purchaser. We don't care about marketing strategy or prices. So it's totally different from us. So I can say that we are not really on this market too. Our main markets are United States, Asia. We have also in Africa. So all the markets which are finally here present for the call today, we are not really in this market. Germany, no. Netherlands, no. Austria, no. Slovenia, no. I forgot some other markets. Luxembourg, it's also the same thing. We are missing some partners in Europe.
Okay, thank you very much. And for all the listeners, if you are into this grape variety, definitely taste also the other wines of this domain. Very, very taste-worthy. Thank you very much, Kevin.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Paul?
Are there any questions?
Yes, it would be interesting to have your own impression about the champagnes you tasted. Maybe if you can say something or taste with the people.
Do you mean now Kevin or me, or myself?
You yourself.
Okay. No problem. I can do it. I love
Thank
it.
you.
I was just looking a little bit on the watch because I'm not sure if we can squeeze everything inside, and I also want to have the talk at the end. So, Meunier, we have maybe just 3 words regarding the Blanc de Meunier. Regarding the selection tasting, I think we had 3 different wines of Laurent Lecard, which was a very nice impression of the style of Meuniers that you have. I was a little bit reminded by this wine of Meunier by I forgot the guy's name. Kevin, I mentioned it last time when we talked. Not Wet Etobé, but yeah. There is Jérôme Prévost. Voilà, that was the thing. When I tasted the wines, I thought about the 100% zero dosage Pinot Meunier of Jérôme Prévost. And Jérôme Prévost is somehow quite, let's say, famous for this grape variety. And it was really a nice surprise for me to taste these champagnes because they were very sure they have freshness and they are dry, but nevertheless they are so straight and chalky and they have a structure that you don't find always with other champagnes. So that was something which really caught me a little bit with this wine. So I hope this gives you a little bit an impression about the style of the wine, how I like it. Was that okay in terms of the tasting notes?
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Okay, perfect. So Kevin, thank you very much for now. If there are any questions among the listeners, just go for it. And we continue with the wine number 6. It's this time the Premier Bulle of Sieur d'Arc. Méthode traditionnelle, perfect. Thank you very much. And this is a very particular region and particular house. And I'm happy to introduce you to Emile, the commercial director of Sieur d'Arc.
Hi, Paul. Hi, everybody. Do you hear me?
Yes.
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 Good. So, shall I start to introduce the company and myself?
Perfect.
Good. So, very quickly, I'm Emile, the commercial director of the company. So now we are really in the south of France. So we were in Champagne, and now we are really at the foothills of the French Pyrenees. Let's say 50 kilometers from the Spanish border on the Mediterranean side. So the particularity of Sieur d'Arc, we are a CAF cooperative, quite a big fish in the south of France. The CAF cooperative Sieur d'Arc was founded in 1946. So you can see we have more than 70 years of history. It's quite a big COP. We have 200 growers, members who are the shareholders of the company. We have roughly 1,800 hectares of vineyard, spread out 42 villages. So it's quite a big terroir with several, let's say, climatic influences. We have some part of our terroir on a really hot and sunny side of the terroir around Carcassonne, one of the big cities of our region. And we can grow up to 450 meters of altitude for the most coolest part of our vineyard. That's where we produce our sparkling wines. Specificity of Sieur d'Arc, we have 3 different appellations. We have the Crémant de Limoux, white and rosé. We have the Blanquette de Limoux méthode ancestrale, which is something quite particular. It's low alcohol sparkling wine, méthode traditionnelle, AOC wine, with 90 grams of natural sugar, because in fact we stop the alcoholic fermentation by cooling the wine. So we have a low alcohol and a lot of natural sugar. And what we are going to talk about today is the Blanquette de Limoux, which is also one of the most old AOC wines in the Languedoc-Roussillon, 1938. Specificity of Blanquette de Limoux. The main varietal is the Mosaic, the local grape of Limoux, but also Gaillac in the southwest. Just few figures to continue presenting the company. We produce roughly 8 million bottles of sparkling wines, 50% Crémant, 50% Blanquette de Limoux, roughly. And we export 45% to our production to the export to 60 countries, presence in the 5 continents. So that's roughly to present the company. So Blanquette de Limoux Première Bulle, it's a brand which is mostly dedicated for the on-trade, because due to the volume and to the presence we have, we sell to both segments of the market, the off-trade and the on-trade. And in order to separate the marketing and the commercial strategy, we have brands dedicated for the let's say for the supermarkets, and we have other brands which are dedicated for the gastronomy, cafe, hotel, restaurants, and liquor stores. So Première Bulle is a brand which is really dedicated to the on-trade. The Première Bulle exists on Blanquette de Limoux, that's a product we are showing today. But we have also the Crémant de Limoux under the brand Première Bulle, a Crémant de Limoux Rosé, and also, which is quite new in our company, the organic Blanquette de Limoux, which is growing in the group. Now, out of the 200 growers, we have roughly 10 to 15% growers who are moving to traditional, let's say, traditional methods, moving to the organic, what we call bio in French. That's for the presentation of the company. What could I say more about what we do, who we are? The top 5 in countries where we sell. Number 1 is UK. Very close behind UK is Germany. Paul, I know that you know what we do in Germany. Number 3 country is USA. Number 4 is Australia. Quite unusual, I know, for French companies, but in Australia, the Australian people do love really sparkling wines. And so I know that they drink a lot of champagne, a lot of Crémant from different regions of France. And so that's why we, Sieur d'Arc, we have quite a nice distribution there. And the 5th country as well is Russia, because our friends in Russia, they do love as well the bubbles. So that's why we do quite interesting business in that destination. That's for Sieur d'Arc. Maybe Paul, you can talk about the product, the wine.
Sure. Thank you very much. As we already mentioned, it's mostly Mosaic. So we have here 90% of Mosaic in this cuvée, and then we have a tiny bit of Chardonnay, 5%, and 5% of Chenin. The wine was matured 15 months on a lease, and if you taste it, it's, let's say, it has a hint of herbs. It has a bit of elderflowers for me to nose, white fruits, also some white flowers. And if it comes to the taste, I guess you see it also. It's let's say yellow fruity. It has a hint of tropicalness. It's a bit boyish, so it's a little rounder. I think it's something that will pick up a quite wide range of consumers. It's a bit more the pleaser than the special straight guy. So yeah, I think it's as you mentioned for the channel where you have planned this wine for. It's a very up-picking wine that will make a lot of people happy, and the packaging is also nice too.
Just a word about the dosage. We have on this wine we have 7 grams per liter. So we go very careful also on the sugar. We also have some Crémant with no sugar, Brut Nature, of course, but Blanquette de Limoux, 7 grams per liter is far enough, because the typicity of the Mosaic as well in terms of aromas is a green apple, white peach. So it's already a fruity vintage by itself. So this level of dosage is really enough. That's what we believe, and that's how our customers enjoy the wine.
Thank you, Emil. Maybe just one more question, because you have now the luck to be the first wine after champagne. What kind of price range are we talking now?
Oh, so I'm a bit jealous, because when I hear the price of my friends in Champagne, so we on retail price on our boutique, it's €9.95 per bottle. Ex-works, it's €6.
Okay, thank you very much.
See, very, very cheap compared to Champagne.
Okay, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we have one question in the chat. Is it a Mosaic vert?
Mosaic vert.
Vert, ouais.
Well, in fact, in our vineyard we have a very something we call the Conservatoire du Mosaic. It's a quite experimental parcel, experimental plot of Mosaic, because it's quite unique, where we grow 180 different plots of Mosaic. 95% of Mosaic is white, and 5% is rosé Mosaic. So Mosaic vert should be maybe one of the many white plots, different plots of Mosaic. But it's a white grape, definitely.
Thank you.
Did I answer to the question? Probably yes.
Okay. Maybe just one thing that we definitely have to mention. Long time, big champagne house always was saying that they have invented the champagne. Well,
yes.
Not really, because there is in the Abbey of Saint-Hilaire, which is nearby Limoux,
correct.
there is like signed that in the year 1531, the monks had already a lot of fun with the Blanquette de Limoux, right, Emile?
Correct. So that's I'm happy, Paul, you introduced this. Sometimes it's not very diplomatic but no, it's very official. We have documents dating of 1531 and 1544. At that time, the monks of the wine in the Middle Age in Europe was made by the monks in the abbey. So at that time, the monks of Saint-Hilaire, which is a tiny village not far, which is between Limoux and Carcassonne, they were producing wine. And one day, probably simply because of the alcoholic fermentation wasn't already finished certainly in November, when they opened the bottles the year after, probably at spring, the yeasts were not totally consumed by the alcohol, so the wine was fermenting in the bottle, and so that was definitely the beginning of the discovery, of course by accident, of the second fermentation in bottle. And why we can say that we know by sure at that time the monks were producing sparkling Blanquette de Limoux is simply because we have a document from the Lord of Arques being in one of the villages of the area of the region of Limoux. And this Lord was placing an order to the Abbey de Saint-Hilaire, requesting for some cases of wine, including some cases of Blanquette de Limoux. And this document, which is in the Museum of History of Carcassonne, is marking, saying, me, the Lord of Arques, is requesting to be delivered of Blanquette de Limoux for my, let's say, for my house and my table in the Château d'Arques. That's the true story.
We have one new question. Is CETA still the main importer?
Well, Zeter is our partner in Germany for a brand called, it's a Crémant de Limoux called Crémant de Grande Cuvée 1531. The Blanquette de Limoux Première Bulle is not really yet on the market, so we can discuss if there is an interest for the German market. But yes, Zeter is one of our strong distributors in Germany.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emile.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we're going to continue now with the wine number 7.
There's one question.
One last question.
I think there's one question. Sergio Nadone, you can tell us maybe your question.
Are you still making Banyuls? No, Banyuls is not exactly the region of Limoux. It's not far. Banyuls is really Banyuls is in the Pyrenees Oriental. It's a sweet It's a sweet wine made of mostly Grenache, Blanquette and Banyuls. It's the only no, we don't produce this wine. Banyuls is, let's say, probably 100 kilometers far from Blanquette.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to know, because I bought many years ago some bottles of you. I know what Banyuls is a fortified wines mainly of Grenache Noir, and some years ago you made a Grand Cru 98, which was still amazing, because 98 is still young. So I wanted to know if you still have made it, or was just made some more, or it was just one
I think
spot?
it was one spot.
shot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
one shot. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it was good. Well, okay, just to know, because yeah, it was a great one. It still is a great wine.
Yeah, Banyuls is a great wine. I do love the Grenache. Grenache is wonderful grape.
So, but thanks a lot. Sorry for bothering. So, thanks a lot.
No problem. No problem. My pleasure to answer the question.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. For you too.
Okay.
All right. That's
there aren't any more questions.
That's okay for me.
Okay, let's continue with Loire. Laetitia of Domaine Pégu will introduce us to a very fresh Chenin and Chardonnay based Lemon.
Hello everyone. I'm Laetitia Huet, proud owner of Chateau Pégu since 2019. That place, I fall in love with the moment I laid my eyes upon it. Originating from Vallée de la Loire, I studied in Bourgogne and winemaker for 15 years at Bordeaux, in Vallée de Loire, in Rhône Valley, and especially 12 years in Canada. I have been passionate about wine for a while, and my dream is to have my own winery, to be able to make my own wine. So today is a dream coming true, so I'm very happy to show you my domain. 28 hectares of vine, mainly composed of Chenin Blanc, Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc for the whites, and we produce Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, Gamay and Grelot for red and rosé. We are situated in Rochefort-sur-Loire, near the Loire River. You know, the Corniche Angevine, it's a big rock of schist. So the exceptional land is composed of this schist, which brings freshness and minerality to the wines. We are certified HEV, and we are planning to turn into organic culture at the end of the year. We produce so appellation like the Crémant you are going to test, and for the winemaking, sorry, I'm inspire myself from different past experience that I acquired to express through my wine the technique and my passion that mark my roots until now. So just, I think, Paul, you want to present the Crémant?
Thank you very much. I think first of all, it's a super interesting history or history of, first of all, of you with your experience that you have, and now, well, let's say since 2019 when you took over the domain, it's a new chapter, not only for you with your dream of your winery, but also a new chapter for this whole domain. So definitely a place to keep an eye on, to see the development within the next years. Very exciting situation. So regarding the wine, we have it's a 2017. It stays 2 years on the lease. We have 60% Chardonnay, we have 40% Chenin, and regarding the residual sugar, we are around 6 to 7 grams, if I'm right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, regarding the taste in the nose, I think it's a very straight guy. In the nose, you have green apples, the classical stuff, but also a bit of let's say flowers. But nevertheless, it's very fresh, pure wine. If I'm correct, this wine was, the harvest was not done by you, but you have made already, let's say, the last vinification of the wine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm.
Yes. So yeah, this is the Cremant de Loire by 60% Chenin and 40%, 60% Chardonnay, sorry, and 40% Chenin. And as mentioned, I think it's a very interesting situation with this domain and with your work, and I'm very curious to see what the next years will bring, especially with your diverse varieties that you have there.
And I just started to develop export. I have some development in United States, Canada possibility, and Asian country. But will be very happy to work with a European country, and just to add some think about the Cremant. I think the particularity of this Cremant is the minerality, because the plants, the Chardonnay and the Chenin, it's old vine, so they brings this minerality. That's the representation of our terroir.
Especially, we have to mention it again, we have a huge advantage, or let's say a huge special soil topic there, because slate is not that common in the Vallée de Loire, right? And you are like sitting on a small treasure of slate there with your domain.
Very fresh.
Do we have any questions?
We don't have a question, but a comment to the wine. Maybe I can tell you, completely different than the previous wines. I have a massive amount of honey in the nose and the palate.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Maybe because it was mentioned to all the listeners, we had no, let's say, goal to make the tasting somehow extremely harmonious. It's more the challenge to bring in 10 wines, 10 complete different, let's say, styles, directions, grapes, and regions into one. So it's always a challenge to taste. So you have to reset your palate. But well, you are all professionals, so I think you can handle it pretty well. And we hope that we can give you some new perspectives on the different sparkling wines of France. If there aren't any more questions, I would say thank you very much, Letizia, for the nice introduction.
Thank you.
And as she already mentioned, there are no importers yet in the markets of the listeners, so feel free to get in contact with her. And we continue with the next wine. It's number 8. It's the Cremant de Loire Belle de Nuit. And I think Philip will introduce us to the domain. The slide.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Here you are. Hello, Philip.
It's okay. Okay. All right.
Yes. All right.
Hello, everybody. My name is Philip. I'm running the company Alpha Loire Domaine with Fabienne, my wife. Well, who is Alpha Loire Domaine? That's a producer and at the same time a wine merchant, which focused on 3 appellations: Touraine, Cheverny, and Cremant de la Loire. It's a very new company created in April 2009, so quite recent. So that's a domain that we took over during this period, and with Touraine that we bought and Cheverny that we rented. And we also produce Cremant de la Loire, which came from the Touraine production. Now, it's the head office and the warehouse are situated in Amboise. We chose Amboise because it's a town, there is a castle, there is a lot of visitors. And the winery is a bit further. It means a couple of kilometers from Amboise, in a small village near Ouali. That's a village which is in the southwest of Blois, region of Castle, of course, as well. Chambord is not very far. Our farming method is based on sustainable development, HVE, for high value, environmental value, and organic as well, because a couple of hectares our Turin production is dedicated to organic with EcoCert certification. Before coming to the tasting and the elaboration of our crema, I will explain the origin because of a brand, Belle de Nuit. That's very important to match the production, the quality, and the brand. In fact, that is a part of our concept that we imagined when we created Alpha Loire Domaine. The name Alpha comes from the constellation Alpha Centaurus. I don't know if you are astronaut or astronome, but that's the brightest star system and also one of the closest to the Earth, 4 years light away from here, 4 années-lumière. We chose the name Alpha. That's important because that's a combination of A for Ambroise, L for Loire, PH for Philippe, and FA for Fabienne. And we built all our brands having in mind the influence of constellation on our production, on our wines, on the earth. Brands like Fleur de Coucou, Roche de Lune, Sable Blond, Parallèle 69, Enclos du Petit Chien, Jardin d'Alpha. All these brands are based on this concept, a sort of guideline. Some words on us, on Fabienne. She was a chief buyer for a wine merchant in Bordeaux. She has been working as a buyer for Robert de Bacchus in Paris. And she became a winemaker 10 years ago. So she's in charge of the vineyards and vinification. Myself, I'm a descendant of several generations of wine growers. So I was born in Tours, so I'm 100% Tourangeau. And I'm in charge of all the sales, of course, all the concept, the communication, which is based on a comic strip that we created 10 years ago. The vineyards of the Touraine, that's mainly Sauvignon Touraine, Cabernet, Malbec, Pinot Noir, Pinot d'Aunis, and 4 hectares, just over 4 hectares, are dedicated to the Crémant de la Loire, mainly made of 70% of Chenin, 20% of Chardonnay, and 10% of Cabernet. So we added a small amount of red. Regarding our Crémant, so what we're looking for, that's something tonic, of course, refreshing. That's ideal as an aperitif with seafood, dessert. And it's kind of also match with the meat and the sweetbreads in cream sauce. The total production of Alpha Loire Domaine, it's around just over 200,000 bottles. And mainly sold in France. 50% are sold in France. We know that the French market is our first market. And the remaining production is sold in Europe, mainly Germany, European countries, but also Korea, Japan, and the United States. So Paul, it's up to you if you want to explain further our story.
So wine, it's a non-declared vintage. It's 2018. The Belle de Nuit Crémants, they stay on the lease for 12 to 15 months approximately. And regarding the cepage, the varieties, we are here at 70% Chenin, 20% Chardonnay, and 10% Cabernet Franc. Exactly. And well, taste is brut. Maybe you can just let us know the residual sugar, Philip, please.
Well, 5 grams of residual sugar.
5 grams?
5 grams.
Okay.
Yes. So we can that's a brut.
Perfect, thanks. We have in the notes we have some I have also some smoky hints. We have a bit of flowers. We have a bit of yellow fruits. Quite a bit of Chenin, like let's say some nuts. And in the palate we have it's a pleasing fresh style, but also a bit let's say tiny Swedish finish. A very pleasing style. and I think it matches well with the packaging. May you just give us an idea, Philip? First of all, are this kind of cremants like Belle de Nuit white, and I think there is also a rosé, already distributed in the markets of our listeners, and in which price range are they actually?
So the retail price is around is 11.50 at the shop. The price, the export price, it's 6.50. 6.50. Excellent. But so of course we're ready and open to discuss prices.
And are you already distributed in the markets of our listeners, like Germany?
We're
Slovenia?
distributed. Yeah, we're small producer, so that it means that we of course sell in Holland, but to small operators, Germany, Belgium, Holland. Well, of course, I said in the United States, but Slovenia we don't have anybody, and Luxembourg neither.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions?
There's no question about this cremant, but there's a question. Also, there's someone who asked the ex-work price for the Cremant de Loire, but the cremant from Laetitia, the first Cremant de Loire. So,
okay. Ex-works price. You could, I could say around €7.
Thank you.
Okay, then we can continue, I guess. Let's continue then with our number 9. It's the Cremant de Loire of Château de Lollet, and we will have Marielle with us.
Yes, hello everybody.
Hello. Also a very interesting story. Marielle, here you are.
Thank you very much. So my name is Marielle Henrion. I lead the Château de Lollet for 70 years now. I'm the leader. I'm the winemaker also. I was born in Champagne and passed my degrees. I am an enologist in house and developed a real passion for sparkling wines. My husband and me decided to set up as wine growers, and we found the Château de Lollet in 2004 and totally fell in love with this place. It was a real challenge, vines in a very poor status, domain falling into disuse. And nevertheless, it was a very beautiful place with great potential and a very interesting type of grape, Chenin Blanc. We have also a little vineyards in Chinon, so we use both Chenin Blanc and Cabernet Franc. Sparkling wines has been always a big part of the history of Château de Lollet, and today we grow about 32 hectares, mainly Chenin Blanc, Cabernet Franc, a little Chardonnay, and Growell too. And the production is dedicated especially to sparkling wines. It's about 85% of the production, and it represents 200,000 bottles per year. About the farming, we try to have something very sustainable. With natural grass cover, because the rains, we work the soils. Of course, we reduce the chemicals with especially the end of insecticides. And thanks to these decisions, biodiversity has been renewed. And for example, we could set up 10 hives near the vines on the edge of the woods. The objective is to produce clean, authentic, and elegant wines representing the terroir. We built a very new cellar in 2008 with a high level of hydrogen in the idea to use less sulfite or no sulfite at all. Of course, because of my champagne training, pressuring is a very important step for me in the process. And this is why we use only pneumatic press and separate all the juice between the cuvée, tête de cuvée, and the end of the press. We work preserving at the highest level thanks to bioprotection and carbonic dioxide from oxidation and microorganisms. All that are thermoregulated, and all the whole process for sparkling wines is made in our winery. So we do all bottling, aging, riddling, and disgorging. We try to use residual sugar to do the second alcoholic fermentation to avoid to add more sugar. We keep for sparkling wines at least 18 months, and for Crémant de Loire we try to have 30, 36 or more aging with the lees. We elaborate, of course, our own dosage with old wines made in barrels or not. And for this Crémant Brut Classique, we have a dosage of 5 grams. What else? We export already in Japan mainly. We began with the Sweden market this year, and we already work with Great Britain for many years. A very little bit in Belgium, but not in all the countries who are there today. We produce 4 different Crémant de Loire with no dosage or with different grape variety, blend or pure. We have also 3 different Touraine méthode traditionnelle and 1 red sparkling wine. We also produce a little bit of Chinon Red and other wines, white wines with Chenin Blanc. I think that's all.
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. Great story. I also have to mention that I love your back label of the wine. As I mentioned with our first tasting, it's so nicely written. Contient de sulfite, mais très peu. Also the other things which are written there, because first of all, this is a 2017, not declared vintage, but 2017. It was bottled in March 2018 and then stayed on the lease till August 2020. So for a Crémant de Loire, pretty long period. And I like very much that you write the disgorgement date on the bottle on one hand, and the other hand is also à consommer de préférence avant août 2023. So it's like best consumed before August 2023, which is a very honest and good information, I think. Regarding the taste, I think it's a very elegant wine. In the nose we have this fresh green apple, let's say also a bit of green hints, but ripe green hints, yellow fruits, some Johannisbeere. I forgot the name in English right now, but the German-speaking listeners maybe guess it too. And then regarding the palate, it's a super fine mousseux. It's a very elegant wine, nevertheless juicy, mouth-filling. It's very long. It has a great structure, and it's also vinous, like very winey style. But all together, still very elegant, very well balanced, and important. This one is 100% Chenin. I'm not sure if we have mentioned it yet. So yeah, this from my perspective. Maybe one more information. What will be approximately the price for the wine?
Oh, the XR price is about $430.
Okay, thank you very much.
a very good ratio quality price.
Yeah, definitely very good price value relation. Definitely, I'm also a bit surprised actually. I haven't, I didn't know it before. So yeah, keep up with the great work, definitely, and I will be curious to taste also your other wines. Do we have any questions for now?
We don't have any questions in the chat, but you can also yeah, say them orally if you prefer so.
So due to the fact that we are now gone through the, let's say, whites, maybe somebody of the listeners will give us a short, let's say, summary. How was the tasting for now, especially, let's say, regarding one thing? One world is the Champagne world, the other world is the Cremant world. Do you want to say something about the styles? Do we have found something new? Is it something surprising that you have found today? If nobody raises his hand, then I will pick somebody. Like, for example, how about Daniel Meyer or Nicolas Praat or Matthias Kunisch? Are you all too shy today? Franz Kuh hat die Hand erhoben.
Hi, from Vienna, Austria. I was very surprised because my preferences were actually the 100% Pinot Meunier. I think the only car, which is usually a grape I'm not really favor in Champagne. And I was also very much surprised about the Cabernet Loire from Piquet, which for me was really surprising. The only really mineral wine I tasted this far. All the wines were good. They were very straight, very clean, but this one really had a very serious mineral note, which I found very interesting. So that's my opinion.
Great, thank you very much, Franz. It's a pleasure to offer you here some nice new perspectives and new surprises. You're from Austria, right? Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
From Vienna. So how are the French sparkling wines in Vienna?
Well, Cremant is a very big part of my business, so it's about 50% of the volume. But I'm working mainly in Burgundy and in Limoux and with Vouvray sparkling. So this is really something that is of interest for me. It's one of the very few wines that really sell in gastronomy in Austria, because Austria is a very basic Austrian market. So 95% in gastronomy is Austrian wine, except the higher top range wines. But at the basic level, let's say, French wine is not very well distributed, simply because nobody wants to work for it. It's not about price or things like that. It's simply it's difficult, but Cremant is really selling very well, so that's really important part of the market.
Just a second, Franz. Kevin, may you turn off your microphone, because we have some noises from you. Thank you. Okay, Franz. Thank you very much for the quick introduction to the Austrian drinking habits. And I think I saw Daniel Meyer there from Vienna too. Daniel, do you want to say something? Now we can...
I think he is not here.
Ah, I see him. He's there at Svetlana Meyer. Voila.
Yeah, so now the microphone is going open and close. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm well, it's still one wine to go, which I never heard of before, so that will be interesting too. But yeah, well, I can say what Franz said. I'm also working in Austria, and Cremant is gaining momentum. It's getting a bit better. With Champagne, it's quite it's not so easy. I mean, people. I work for Metro, and people want to buy the very famous wines, or they want to buy something not expensive, and the Champagne de Vigneron is I think still a long way to go in Austria to get well known. But yeah, I find them very interesting. Of course, there's a big difference between Champagne and Crémant de Loire, but yeah, that's obvious. If you have Chenin Blanc or you have Chardonnay, that makes quite a difference. And all the styles have their have a good reason to be. And I found it a very interesting tour de France of sparkling wines today, and to go from Champagne, which everybody expects, but also to have Limoux and to have Loire and to have peut-être Bugey, Cerdon. So to have yeah, to have a broad variety of sparkling things. So that's very good.
Great, thank you very much, Naim.
You're welcome.
So, as you mentioned already, we have one more wine to go, and I'm very happy to have this in our today's tasting, because on one hand, it was also a nice surprise for me, and on the other hand, I hope that it also be a nice surprise for you today. We have here the Bougie Cerdon of Wojtkowiak. This is a particular wine because it is a méthode ancestrale. So far, we had in the tasting the classical méthode champenoise, méthode traditionnelle. This is a méthode ancestrale, so we have like one fermentation, and we are in the region, let's say, next to Jura, so we have it somehow in your mind. And I'm happy to let Monsieur Wojtkowiak introduce himself and his domain.
Sorry, Paul, he's not here. He was there at the beginning. We tried to connect him. So could you present the product?
So Jonathan Wojtkowiak took over this domain from his parents, and it's just 3 hectares, so it's really, really tiny. This appellation, Bougie Cerdon, is very, very particular because it's very small, and they are producing always these kind of wines. So it's red, sparkling, méthode ancestrale, with, let's say, a bit of residual sugar. Here we have a sec. I think the sec is around, I think it was around 30 grams, but we can find it out. It's mostly Gamay with a tiny bit of Pulsar. And I mean, you taste it, it's super fresh, it's super inviting. You have all these yellow, lightly red fruits, and then in terms of palate, it's fine. It's elegant, sure. It's let's say Swedish, but it's still fresh. It is. It has also a nice structure, I think. It's not too phenolic, but it has nice structure. It's vinous, and when I tasted the wine the first time, it was like, wow, I have to make a rhubarb cake with it, for example. It goes perfect with it. Or if you work with different cheeses, for example, or sure, for desserts, this kind of wine is just the perfect match. And we are talking about a wine with just 9% of alcohol, so it's not too heavy. And yeah, for me, it was a very nice surprise. So I thought we just have to have it in this tasting today. As Diane mentioned, tour de sparkling wines of France. And I think it gives us another fascinating perspective on the sparkling wines of France. Are there any questions? Not for now.
For the moment, there are no questions, but it would be really nice when you could answer at our questionnaire. There are only 3 questions.
What do you exactly mean with the questionnaire?
So I don't know if you see it now, or maybe in the chat. So there are 3 questions. Did you appreciate the digital tasting? So to have a first impression, and some other question. The buyers like the product.
No, only to get it right. So maybe you can read the questions, and should I answer to that, or should the buyers answer to that?
buyers. You could also answer, but normally it's for the buyers.
Okay, perfect. So who would like to start with the questionnaires? The buyers.
It's already done, Paul. It's okay. We've got our answers. Yes. Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't see the chat, so I wasn't inside there. Maybe there. Ah, yeah, I see now. Okay, okay, good. So from my side, I think we are so far done with it. If there aren't any questions regarding the wines for now, I would say thank you very much for your attention and for your time. It was a pleasure to introduce you to hopefully some new or other perspectives on this kind of fascinating sparkling wine world of France. And if you want to get in contact with the producers, I think you get all the details, and the producers will also get your contact details, so you can get in touch and exchange and yeah, develop the sparkling wines further together.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a nice day. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.